I want to dedicate this to Steve Harvey.
Okay, now that there was a little history.
We begin with everyone's high school teacher and musical legend, Steve Hightower, and his patented silk press and 10-button suit, teaching the kids about the history of musical theater. They don't want to talk about that boring stuff. They want to talk about how Mr. Hightower went viral recently. Sean Puff P. Dude Love Daddy Diddy Combs wants to sample his song, but Steve says, take that, to that convo. At that moment, Snoop Doggy Lion Doggy Dog walks in to sell some weed or something, but Steve says later he's at work. It's later, and Steve is reading the wrong answers on the test out loud to all the kids, which seems kind of like a crazy thing to do as a teacher, but it's pretty swaggy. I mean, just because. Regina walks in and asks Steve to come play music at her parents' 40th wedding anniversary. Steve tries to get some buns or some funds, but ends up with none. They go and pick her parents up from the airport, and her dad is a 1%er. He's wondering where the Black Jesus and Martin Luther King pictures are, which I was wondering the same. He lives in Arizona, so that's kind of confusing. He hates it. He especially hates Steve because he used to make inflammatory songs about their daughter before she lost a bunch of weight. Regina breaks them up right before Steve gets his ass beat. Regina's mom is ready to go make some fried chicken because Regina is just too skinny. People have been saying she's been doing her best Pookie impersonation because of her sudden weight loss. The next day at school, Puffy walks in on Cedric and Steve Hightower and says start standing. Cedric would eventually let them talk in private, but as he's leaving, he sees Snoop Dogg walk in. In order to prevent more East Coast, West Coast chicanery, he starts freestyling at Snoop to distract him from going in. That doesn't work, and he's pretty whack. Snoop and Puffy meet eyes in the room, and there's a palpable tension. Most of the tension comes from Steve going on a long-winded speech about Black history, but not like actual Black history, just some random words to try to distract everyone and ease the situation. Snoop and Puff tell him that he's an old man and that he doesn't understand the youth, and all that rivalry is just media hype. Steve asks them to come in and talk to his class the next day. They're back at Regina's apartment, and Steve is trying to figure out what song to play at the wedding. The arguments are starting fast and early, so Steve offers to throw the father Linwood a bachelor party. This obviously causes a bigger argument. Linwood talks about how much he hates Arizona. They were the last state to implement Martin Luther King Day. He talks about how there's only 4 Black people, so it's impossible to get a proper fade, or a good game of bid whist, or some good catfish, or a wing spot. This is a super accurate depiction of Arizona. He takes Steve hostage, and they're out on a night of nothing at all on the town. I mean, they have nothing planned. Steve blew all that musical legend money long ago, so this is going to be probably a pretty lame night. The next day at school, Snoop and Diddy go do a PSA, but also really don't say anything, just and take that, and faux shizzle or whatever is going on in the 90s. The studio audience is going crazy. The kids in the class, though, look like nothing at all was said to them. Diddy and Snoop get a lower bid on a sample, so they do not need Steve no more. So Steve starts to threaten violence on the person getting paid. I know Linwood wouldn't be happy to see Steve acting like this to another Black man. The wedding of Linwood and Coretta is today, and she is refusing to marry him. Steve lies to Linwood and says that Coretta was maimed to get him to come, and no one in the room is happy right now. Steve tells him that he needs to start copping pleas, because once every woman in your life is mad at you, you know that you have gone too far. He thinks of the best way to say that it really is all his fault. So he says that she's the activator and the Jerry curl of love. That clearly and obviously works, and she comes out. They go in the back and they consummate the marriage for about 10 minutes, and then they actually do the real marriage. At the reception, it's still season 1, so Cedric has not met Levita Alizé Jenkins. So he walks over to this beautiful Black queen and lets her know that women over the age of 35 need to take what they can get. So hello, my name is Cedric. She walks directly away. Do not say that line. It's time to toss the bouquet, and in the ensuing struggle, Steve ends up with it. He tosses it back, and Regina catches it. I'm not too sure how this works, so I'm guessing nobody is getting married anytime soon.